There will be 3 stages to independent reading. The first stage, in stage 1, we're going to use a technique that is called What's the Clue? What's the Clue works this way. You are going to give an oral sentence that ends with the word, but leave the word out. Your students will decipher the word by the context of your sentence and by the phonic clues they see. Then they're going to simultaneously sound and underline the clues from left to right. For example, when I call you, I want you to
come.
What's the clue? And they would say, k-m. Now, they will underline only the sounds that they have had in the prerequisite skills. Ignore all the other letters. For example, does O say ah in the word come?
No.
That's why it's not a clue. Ignore it. It's time to
go.
What's the clue? G-O. When I'm in a hurry, I
run.
What's the clue? May I sail my new
boat.
What's the clue? B-O-T. Now, do you hear an A when I say boat?
No.
Therefore, it's not a clue. Ignore anything that's irrelevant. Which one of these do you
want?
What's the clue? W-N-T. This is for me, and that is for
you.
What's the clue? Yeah, you. Now, that's a little redundant when you say you, but anything that helps, do it. I want you to come right
here.
What's the clue? E-R. Did you hear what I
said?
What's the clue? S-T. It's fun to run and
jump.
What's the clue? J-A-M-P. Open your eyes and you will
see.
What's the clue? S-E. When you cannot give a sentence that ends with the word, simply tell the students the word and follow it with a sentence. Then ask, what's the clue? For example, this word is and, as in give me bread and butter. What's the clue? And. This word is my, as in that is my book. What's the clue? I. Y on the end says I. This word is the, as in see the cat. What's the clue? The. Let's see how this all works out. We're going to read a story right from the beginning to the end. First of all, tell your children that reading is like a detective game because they're going to be looking for clues. And assign to each child a special detective name during the reading period. For example, they could choose their own names like 007, Private Eye, Batman, Secret Agent, whatever name they like. Be sure to follow the same procedure for each reading group. And if you will all read together with Noreen, the first activity will be
check the vocabulary list in the back of your book or the teacher's manual and write on the chalkboard the new words which must be introduced for the pages you wish to cover. Give each child a mimeographed copy of this word list.
Now, you have your work done for the week, right? So you simply give each child a copy of the list and you can proceed. Number 2 is
introduce the new words as outlined. Do not divert from the techniques given.
All right, and if Noreen, you will come up here. We're going to use the technique called What's the Clue? Okay, now can you see that list? Okay. Block your eyes and do not
look.
What's the clue?
Look.
Very good. This girl's name must be
Kim.
What's the clue? Very good. This word is O, as in they were so surprised they said O. What's the clue?
O.
Very good. The boy's name is
John.
What's the clue?
J-A-N.
Now, do you hear an H when I say John? What? John. You really don't hear the H, do you?
Right.
Therefore, the H is not a clue. And just ignore any letters that you don't hear. Okay? What are you looking
at?
What's the clue?
At.
Do you want this or
that?
What's the clue?
At.
Okay, very good. Now, would you please read that list from the top?
Look, Kim, O, John, at, that.
All right. If you were working with special ed children, review the list before you have them read to be sure that they know these words well enough. For example, you could try this. Please circle the word O. Now, what word do you think is O? It must begin with an O. Would you put a circle around that word? Very good. Now, put a circle around the word that, the at. Which word do you think it is? Which word do you think is Kim? K-K-K-M. Put a circle around at. Which word is look? Very good. Which word is John? Now, if your students are extremely slow, reinforce the list once again. This time, put a line next to the word that I call. Put a line next to the word at. Very good. Put a line next to the word O. Which word is that? Kim. John begins on. Look. Ooh. Now, would you please read the list backwards?
That, at, John, O, Kim, look.
Very good, and you may go back to your seat. The third activity, if you'll all read together with Noreen, is
have the children read orally to you the pages assigned. Develop comprehension by initiating appropriate discussions and asking several questions after each page.
All right, now we're going to develop reading and comprehension simultaneously. There is a detailed chapter on comprehension in this book, which we will not cover in this workshop. However, I'd like to mention two very important points. You must, one, motivate, and two, you must guide. Now, you must motivate the children to want to read the story. Therefore, initiate a discussion beforehand that will provide them with background information or have them share their prior experiences that will make the story more meaningful. You're going to guide before each page and after each page. Now, before the page, you're going to make appropriate comments, or you're going to propose or elicit questions that will be answered on the page. After each page, you're going to ask questions and have them check back for the answers. In this way, you will train them right from the beginning to have an automatic response. They will expect the page to give information, and they will check back for unknown answers. We're going to try a story. It's very helpful to have your children use bookmarks because it helps them to direct their eyes in a left to right direction. It also helps them to keep the place, and it helps the teacher know who's got their place. All right, now, you would initiate a discussion about the zoo. And you would explain that Uncle Zeke is treating Kim and John to the zoo. Would you please read the word on the bottom of that page, Noreen?
Look.
Now, who do you think said look?
Kim.
And what does she want them to look at?
Monkeys.
Right. And then you would let the children share their experiences that they've had with monkeys or funny things that they have seen monkeys do at the zoo. Please go to the next page. Would you please read that, Noreen?
Look, Kim.
Now, who do you think said that?
John.
And what does John want them to look at?
At the tiger.
Right, maybe he heard the terrible roar of the tiger, and then have them share their experiences with tigers. Please turn the page. Now, what are Kim and John looking at now?
Uncle Zeke.
Something seems to be missing from Uncle Zeke's head. Do you know what it is, Noreen?
His hat.
And would you read what Uncle Zeke said?
Oh, oh, oh.
Do you know where his hat is, Noreen?
No.
Go to the next page, please. Now, would you please read the first line?
Oh, look, John.
And the next line?
Look at that.
What does Kim want him to look at?
The monkey
Why?
has Uncle Zeke's hat.
Right. He has found Uncle Zeke's hat. When the children enjoy their first reading experience and when they find that they can succeed, then they will eagerly look forward to their next reading experience. We can't follow our students around indefinitely and give an oral sentence that ends with the word and then ask, what's the clue? Right? The next question is, how are we going to release these children from dependence on the teacher and free them to go off on their own and read independently? This brings us to stage 2.